Fox 23 News at 6 starts right now.
So regular collisions, a motor vehicle, for instance, we can do that. We can handle that almost anywhere. But OHP also has specialized training for heavy commercial equipment, dump trucks, semi-tractor trailers. They have regulations on how you're supposed to transport goods in the state. And so it's based on weights and measurements and logbooks. We don't do that.
You just heard from Tulsa police essentially sounding the alarm about having to take over patrol on interstates within city limits because in just a few months, state troopers will no longer be patrolling interstates in Tulsa city limits in the Oklahoma City metro. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shay Rozzi.
And I'm Nathan Thompson. The State Department of Public Safety says it's to meet other needs across the state. Fox 23's Devin Lyon has been digging into this story. He's live outside OHP headquarters in East Tulsa. Devin, you heard from TPD and state lawmakers today.
That's right, guys, and on all sides, everybody said this change was very sudden. Now, everybody at home and a lot of y'all are familiar with this OHP building right behind me. This one is in East Tulsa, sits right off I-44. Now, pretty soon, come November 1st, only Tulsa police are going to be able to regularly patrol this highway. Meanwhile, state lawmakers are saying that's flat out not fair to these agencies like the ones in Tulsa and Oklahoma City they say are already stretched too thin.
Every time they have to respond to something on an interstate that they shouldn't be required to do is one less officer either on the streets, one less officer working community policing programs and doing community outreach.
When I first learned about it, I was sounding the alarm that I did not think it was a good idea.
State lawmakers are criticizing the latest move by the State Department of Public Safety. They say it was sudden and unexpected. This is a look at where the change will be for Tulsa. Every interstate highway inside city limits will no longer be policed by state troopers. The IDL, I-44 and I-244. Starting November 1st, only Tulsa police will patrol those highways. But Captain Richard Muhlenberg with TPD tells me it's almost always been OHP because there's jobs on those highways only troopers can do.
So regular collisions, a motor vehicle, for instance, we can do that. We can handle that almost anywhere. But OHP also has specialized training for heavy commercial equipment, dump trucks, semi-tractor trailers. They have regulations on how you're supposed to transport goods in the state. And so it's based on weights and measurements and logbooks. We don't do that.
DPS says the change is to meet the needs across the state. Representative Ford, who is a former TPD officer, says it's flat out not fair.
You know, there's not going to be anyone out there working speed enforcement. DUIs are a big concern. Speed, road rage. All of those types of things play into the lack of enforcement.
Absolutely, we're going to have a higher call volume responding to areas that OHP used to cover that we didn't before. We don't have additional resources to allocate to that, so what we're going to have to do is pull from what they're doing now.
Senator Mark Mann already requested a formal opinion from State Attorney General Gentner Drummond, questioning if this change is even legal.
We've asked the Attorney General to issue an opinion on what the law actually says, and then if the law does in fact say that they are the primary responding authority, does the Department of Public Safety have the ability to just say we're no longer going to patrol either of those three counties? And then if the answer to that is no, should the governor be required to compel the Department of Public Safety to follow the law?
State troopers have jurisdiction over the entire state, so they can pull someone over or assist other agencies anywhere in the state on or off highways. But their presence will not be as common on these highways in Oklahoma's largest cities.
What we want to make sure is Tulsans know that we're going to take care of them and they're going to be safe, but there's going to be some trade-offs. There's going to be a reduction in services available or the increase in time for us to respond. So we have to kind of play that ear by ear.
I was also asked, can TPD efficiently fill this void? I think they can, because TPD has, I was a TPD officer, and we have always made a broken system work.
Both representatives told Devin Lyon they are concerned that such a sudden change came right after legislative sessions ended. They said to him that neither of them heard any talk or conversations about state agency needing more support for highway patrol. We did reach out to DPS on these changes and have not heard back. The Attorney General's office told us they did get a request for the formal opinion on this change. They say there's no timeline yet on when one will come from Drummond, but it typically takes a few months for a formal opinion to be issued.